Hey guys, welcome back to another daily Bible reading. Last time we read Ecclesiastes 1 through 2. It was basically about how King Solomon was reflecting on everything in life seems to be pointless, and he tried to find meaning in wisdom, pleasure, wealth, but in the end he felt very empty and unfulfilled, and he concluded that no matter what we do, no matter how hard we work and or enjoy life, it all seems meaningless at the end of the day because nothing lasts forever. And the overall message is that worldly pursuits don't provide us truth or everlasting happiness. He indulged in various pleasures such as wine, wealth, and great projects like his farming projects, but he concluded that just all of this is just meaningless and it did not bring true fulfillment for him. And the message is pretty transparent that no matter what we do, what we try to obtain that's worldly, it'll never bring everlasting satisfaction. So we're going to start on Ecclesiastes 3, Solomon's general observations, a time for everything. For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do people really get for all their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on us all. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart, but even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I concluded there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for there are gifts from God. And I know that whatever God does in final, nothing can be added to it or taken away from it. God's purpose is that people should fear Him. What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same things happen over and over again. The injustices of life. I also noticed that under the sun there is evil in the courtroom. Yes, even in the courts of law are corrupt. I said to myself, due season, God will judge everyone, both good and bad, for all their deeds. Solomon continued to explain that hard work bears no lasting fruit for those who work solely to earn money and to gain possessions. Not only will we leave everything behind at death, but we may be leaving it to those who have done nothing to earn it. In addition, it may not be well cared for, and all that we gain may be lost. In fact, Solomon's son, who inherited his throne, immediately made foolish decisions that split the kingdom. Hard work done with proper motives, such as caring for your family, serving God, is not wrong. We must work to survive, and more important, we are responsible for the physical and spiritual well-being of those under our care. But the fruit of hard work, done only to satisfy ourselves, will be passed on to those who may later lose or spoil it. Such toil often leads to grief, while serving God leads to everlasting joy. Is Solomon recommending we make life a big irresponsible party? Definitely not. No, he is encouraging us to take pleasure in what we're doing now and to enjoy the good things in life because they come from God's hand. True enjoyment in life comes only as we follow God's guidance for living. Without Him, satisfaction cannot be found. Those who really know how to enjoy life are the ones who take life each day as a gift from God, for sure, thanking Him for it and serving Him in it. Those without God will have no relief from toil, no direction to guide them through life's complications. Solomon's point in this section is that God has a plan for all people. Thus he provides cycles of life, each with its work for us to do, Although we may face many problems that seem to contradict God's plan, these should not be barriers to believing in Him. Yeah, for sure. I know a lot of people tend to blame God for the bad things that happen in their life, but it's literally just God testing us, and it actually draws us closer to Him. Because if He was just to show Himself to everyone, I mean, He did, but like in today's society, if He was just to show Himself to everyone and say, hey, I'm here, I'm God, then everyone would believe, right? Um, but it's better for us to actually get closer to Him with all the bad things that are happening in our lives rather than, blame Him. Because if we just believed, we would just be doing whatever we wanted. We'd be like, oh, God is real. Okay, I can go to a party and do drugs or do whatever. Uh, no, that's not what God wants for us. So with the bad things happening in our lives, that just makes us um, become closer to God. Timing is important. All the experiences listed in these verses are appropriate at certain times. The secret to having peace with God is to discover, accept, and appreciate God's perfect timing. Yes, God's timing is better than our timing. Don't rush things. Just pray and believe that God will bless you. It may not be what you want, but it's what God knows what's best for you. This can lead to despair, rebellion, or moving ahead without His guidance. Yes, and things will fall apart without His guidance, so we have to trust in Him. When is the time for hating? We shouldn't hate evil people. We should hate what they do. Don't hate the person, hate the sin. We should also hate it when people are mistreated, when children are starving, or when God is being dishonored. In addition, we must hate the sin in our lives. This is God's attitude. Your ability to find satisfaction in your work depends to a large extent upon your attitude. You will become dissatisfied if you lose the sense of purpose God intended for your work. We can enjoy our work if we remember that God has given us work to do and realize that the fruit of our labor is a gift from Him. See your work as a way to serve God. God has planted eternity in the human heart. This means that we can never be completely satisfied with earthly pleasures and pursuits, because we are created in God's image. We have spiritual thirst, we have eternal value, and nothing but the eternal God can truly satisfy us. God has built in us a restless yearning for the kind of perfect world that can only be found in the perfect rule. He has given us a glimpse of the perfection of His creation, but it is only a glimpse. We cannot see into the future or comprehend everything. We must trust God now and do His work on earth. To be happy and do good while we live are worthy goals for life, but we can pursue them in the wrong way. God wants us to enjoy life. We have the proper view of God. We discover that we find real pleasure in whatever we have as gifts from God, not in what we accumulate. What is the purpose of life? It is that we should fear the all-powerful God. To fear God means to revere and stand in awe of Him because of who He is. Purpose in life begins with whom we know, not what we know or how good we are. You cannot fulfill God-given purpose unless you fear God and give Him first place in your life. Solomon reflects on several apparent contradictions in God's control of the world. There is wickedness and corruption where there should be justice. People created in God's image die just like the animals. No one comf- comforts the oppressed. Many people are motivated by envy. People are lonely, and recognition for accomplishments is temporary. It is easy to use such contradictions as an excuse for not believing in God. Yes, I noticed that a lot of atheists and agnostics tend to make those points. But Solomon used them to show how we can honestly look at life's problems and still keep our faith. This life is not all there is, so we should not pass judgment on God. We don't know everything. God's plan for us is that we will live forever with Him. So live with eternal values in view, realizing that all contradictions will one day be cleared up by the Creator Himself. Yes. Wickedness and corruption sit in the place where justice and righteousness should be. Solomon asked how God's plan could be perfect when so much injustice and oppression exist in the world. It's because of sin. He concludes that God does not ignore injustice and will bring it to an end at this appointed time. Yeah, so God gave us free will, so anyone can sin. Well, everyone does sin because we're not perfect beings, because God paid the penalty for us, but we have free will and we can choose to sin or we can choose to follow the Lord. I also thought about the human condition, how God proves to people that they are like animals. For people and animals share the same fate. Both breathe and both must die. So people have no real advantage over the animals. How meaningless. Both go to the same place they came from, dust, and they return to dust. For who can prove that the human spirit goes up and the spirit of animals goes down into the earth? So I saw that there is nothing better for people than to be happy in their work. That is our lot in life, and no one can bring us back to see what happens after we die. Again, I observed all the oppression that takes place under the sun. I saw the tears of the oppressed with no one to confront them. The oppressors have great power, and their victims are helpless. So I concluded that the dead are better off than the living, but most fortunate of all are those who are not yet born, for they have not seen all the evil that is done under the sun. Then I observed that most people are motivated to success because they envy their neighbors. But this, too, is meaningless, like chasing the wind. Fools fold their idle hands, leading them to ruin. And yet, better to have one handful with quietness than two handfuls with hard work and chasing the wind. The advantages of companionship. I observed yet another example of something meaningless under the sun. This is a case of a man who is all alone, without a child or a brother, yet who works hard to gain as much wealth as he can. But then he asks himself, who am I working for? Why am I giving up so much pleasure now? Is it all so meaningless and depressing? Two people are better off than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help, but someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. But how can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. Three are even better, for a triple braided cord is not easily broken. The futility of political power. It is better to be poor but wise youth than an old and foolish king who refuses all advice. Such a youth could rise from poverty and succeed. He might even become king, though he has been in prison. But then everyone rushes to the side of yet another youth who replaces him. Endless crowds stand around him, but then another generation grows up and rejects him too. So it is all meaningless, like chasing the wind. Our bodies can't live forever in their present state. In this sense, humans and animals are alike, but hope for eternity, and that we will undergo judgment in the next life, making us different from animals, because we have eternity in our hearts. We have a unique purpose in God's overall plan. Yet we cannot discover God's purpose for our lives by our own efforts, only through building a relationship with Him and seek His guidance. Are you now living as God wants? Do you see life as a gift from Him? Most definitely. Some people are lazy, while others are hardworking workaholics. Lazy people, seeing the futility of dashing about for success, idle away their time and hurt both themselves and those depend on them. Workaholics are often driven by envy, greed, and constant desire to stay ahead of everyone else. Both extremes are foolish and irresponsible. The answer is to work hard, but with moderation. Take time to enjoy the other gifts God has given you, and realize that it is God who gives out the assignments and the rewards, not us. Cooperating with others has advantages. Life is designed for companionship, not isolation, for intimacy, not loneliness, no loneliness. Some people prefer isolation, thinking they cannot trust anyone. That is somewhat me that I need to break free from. We are here on earth not to serve ourselves, however, to serve God and others. Don't isolate yourself and try to go about it alone. Seek out others and be a team member. Advancement getting to the top is meaningless. Position, popularity, and prestige are poor goals for life's work. Although many people pursue them, they are shadows without substance. Many people seek human recognition for their accomplishments, but people are fickle, changing quickly and easily. How much better to seek God's approval? His love never changes. So I'm going to end off on Ecclesiastes 4 and start Ecclesiastes 5 tomorrow or whenever I'm able to film. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. Please comment down below and give me a thumbs up. Thank you guys. God bless.